My name is Margaret, and I am 73 years old. I live alone in a small cottage at the far edge of a quiet countryside village, where the roads are empty and the nights feel longer than they should. The wind often whispers through the trees, like it's trying to remind me of something or someone I lost long ago. Life has not been gentle with me. My husband passed away many years ago, leaving behind a silence that I never truly learned how to live with. But somehow I kept going, not because I was strong, but because I still had one reason to wake up every morning. My granddaughter, Lily. She was the light in my fading world, a small, bright soul with a laugh so pure that it could chase away even my darkest thoughts. When she was around, the house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt alive. We did everything together. In the mornings, she would run barefoot into the garden, her tiny feet brushing against the cold grass, calling out my name with excitement as if every day was a new adventure. She helped me plant flowers, always crooked, always uneven, but she would smile proudly, as if she had created something perfect. Sometimes she would carry small bundles of sticks, struggling but refusing help, determined to prove she was strong. And in the evenings, she would insist on cooking with me, which often ended in burnt bread, spilled milk, and uncontrollable laughter that filled every corner of the house. Those moments were my life, but happiness never stays forever. One cold autumn evening, Lily fell ill. At first, it was just a small fever. Her forehead felt warm, but she still smiled, still held my hand. I told myself it would pass, but it didn't. The next day, her laughter was quieter. The day after, it was gone. Her breathing grew uneven, soft, fragile, like each breath was a struggle she was too tired to fight. Her small fingers, once warm and full of life, slowly turned cold in my hands. I stayed by her side day and night. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I only prayed. I wiped her forehead with trembling hands. I whispered stories we used to laugh at. I begged her to open her eyes just once more, just enough to smile at me again. "I'm here, my love," I kept saying. "I'm right here." But her grip slowly loosened, and no matter how tightly I held on, I couldn't stop her from slipping away. I begged the heavens to take anything from me, my years, my breath, my life, anything. But the world doesn't listen to people like me. And one quiet morning, she was gone. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't stay in the room, but settles inside your chest. The house changed after that, not just quiet, but empty. Her room remained untouched. Her small shoes still rested near the door. Her favorite cup stayed on the table, exactly where she had left it. I couldn't move anything, because moving it meant accepting she wasn't coming back. Days turned into weeks. I stopped going outside. The garden we planted together began to dry. The flowers she loved slowly withered one by one, as if they too had given up. Even the birds stopped coming. I was alive, but I wasn't living. Then one morning, as I sat outside staring at the empty road, something unusual caught my eye. A young boy, no older than 18, thin, quiet, wearing worn-out clothes. He carried a small wooden box in his hands and walked slowly, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to come closer. I had never seen him before. "Good morning, ma'am," he said softly when he reached my gate. "My name is Daniel. I live nearby. I noticed you've been alone for a long time." Something inside me tightened. I don't need anyone, I replied coldly. Please leave. He didn't argue, he just nodded and walked away. But a few days later, he came back. This time, he didn't speak. He quietly started fixing the broken fence near my garden. His movements were careful, respectful, like he didn't want to disturb anything. I watched him from the window, irritation mixing with confusion. I wanted to stop him, but I didn't. The next morning, I found freshly cut firewood stacked neatly near my door. Then the chickens were fed. Then the dry plants had been watered. Day by day, without asking, without expecting anything. He slowly brought small pieces of life back into a place I had already given up on. And somehow, that made it harder to ignore him. One morning, I finally stepped outside. Why are you doing this? I asked, my voice unsteady. He looked at me quietly for a moment. You remind me of someone I lost, he said, my grandmother. His voice softened. She raised me, just like you raised her. When she passed away, the house felt the same. Empty, too quiet. I tried to leave, but no matter where I went, it followed me. He looked down at his hands. Being here, it feels like I'm not completely alone anymore. His words stayed with me long after he left. That night, I couldn't sleep. For the first time in months, something inside me cracked. Not pain, but the walls I had built to survive it. The next day, he didn't come, and I found myself waiting. The road remained empty. The silence returned, heavier than before. Days passed. Then one afternoon, I noticed a small envelope near my door. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Margaret, I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable. I never wanted to cross a line. I only wanted to help, because you reminded me of what I lost. For a moment, I felt like I had a home again. I'm sorry if I was wrong. Daniel. Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. I'd pushed away the only kindness that had reached me in so long. Without thinking, I grabbed my coat and stepped outside, asking anyone I saw if they had seen him. Finally, someone pointed toward the woods. I didn't think. I just walked, then ran. Daniel, I called out, my voice breaking through the stillness. He turned, surprised. I struggled to breathe. I'm sorry, I said. I wasn't afraid of you. I was afraid of losing someone again. I didn't realize you were trying to bring something back into my life. He looked at me, then gave a small, understanding smile. I know, he said softly, and in that moment, something changed. From that day on, Daniel became a part of my life. We worked in the garden together. Slowly, the flowers returned. The house no longer felt empty. Even the evenings, once filled with silence, now carried quiet conversations, shared memories, and sometimes gentle laughter. He wasn't Lily. He never tried to replace her. But somehow, he filled a space I thought would remain empty forever. And I realized something I had forgotten long ago. I didn't get her back, but I got a reason to live again. And sometimes that is enough. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories.